evening to all of you. The esteemed, distinguished guests on the dais, Dr. Rajiv Singh Raghuvanshi, the Drug Control General of India, the conscience keeper of our nation's pharmaceutical quality architecture. And in fact, it's a privilege to share this platform with you, sir. And certainly your presence this evening is not just ceremonial. And it is a statement that the highest levels of our regulatory establishments stand shoulder to shoulder with industry. Shri Avinash Mohantiji, the Director General of the Drugs Control Administration, Telangana, a distinguished IPS officer and a colleague, certainly, in our journey. And, sir, we have walked in similar corridors, serving similar mandates from the other side of it, and share a deep understanding of what it takes hold this industry accountable while keeping it grow. Of course, today's the bridegroom, Ram Babuji, of course, the chairman of IDMA Telangana State Board, along with his the national president, Bharat, and of course, the general secretary, Shri Ratnashekhar Garu. Thank you, sir, for building this conclave and to what it has been become, and a genuine annual stock taking of where the Telangana Pharma stands and where it must go. I think we have a very stalwarts, I think, and a very distinguished guest over here. I can go on and say, of course, to start with G.V. Prasadji, the co-chairman and managing director of Dr. Reddy Laboratories, a visionary who has defined what Indian pharma can achieve on the global stage. Just right now, what Bharat has already mentioned, that one of those 10 global giants in terms of the exports and all. I mean, I talk more about exports because of that one. And it is an honor to be present here, sir, for this conclave, and of course, the fill station which we will be witnessing. Along with him, there are great other captains are there. Dr. Chava Sachinarayana Garu, of course, Mr. Bharat Reddy ji. And we have our own from the IDMA, Dr. Aditi. Congratulations for the latest award, one more feather in your cap. And we have Dr. Virenchi Shah, is of course the chair of regulatory affairs in our Committee of Administration. Dr. Pramar, and of course, the former chairman of our Pharmexcil, Dr. Veeramani Garu, and of course, and very good friend, Chakravarti from FOPE, and Rajamouli Garu, and my colleagues from the CDSU, Narendran, and my colleague, Mr. G. Srinivas. And of course, in our audience, we have a Bhishma Pitamaha, a professor, a very Rambau Garu. Of course, I think many of them has learned the physical pharmacy from him only, and he's an external for us in Andhra University, for me also. And he's present here. And of course, I can go on, tell, of course, the kind of Endowin Kotes Rao Garu, Arun Rao Garu, and many people who I have, in my 3 decades of drug administrations, I have been with them, and I have learned a lot, I can say, in that sense. Dear friends, I think before I speak as the Director General of Pharmexcil, kindly allow me to speak briefly as who has spent around 3 decades from the other side of the table, in that sense. And as I began my career as a drug regulatory enforcement at a time when the world compliance was still unfamiliar in that way. I joined in '93, you can understand the kind of level of all those things were there. And in that way, the good manufacturing practices, I think some of the officers, we know that we are here. And we know that it was some sort of a checklist kind of a thing, trying to put it whether the floor is clean, whether the walls are clean, whether there is something, all these things, whether there is a raw material testing or a finished good testing. I think in terms of the data integrity, it was not in the vocabulary at that point in time. So we were come from a long way from that sense. And of course, I got the privilege of sitting across the table from very sincere entrepreneurs also, who are genuinely did not know that what they were getting wrong. So we had a lot of discussions, and my gurus in the department, like Hanumantrao Garu and many other people, we know that enforcement is not just a checkbox kind of a thing and putting yes or no and then finally finish your import. This is something like enforcement with a human touch. That is what I learned, rather I imbibed. I think that is what I was brought up in this department. So in that sense, for the 3 decades which I have, which has taught me in this, that most of the lapses in the pharma are not just born with a malfeasance or misfeasance in the mind by the industrials. They are born from a gap in awareness, a gap in systems, a gap in regulatory industry dialogue, which was lacking at that point in time. And of course, we all have this adversarial mode that where the inspector arrives, unannounced, finds faults, writes the report, and just leaves. And there is no sort of a sitting, understanding each other's issues and all. There is no culture in that sense. So there's a sort of a, finally, we bring some kind of a concealment as a culture, rather than revealing more and then try to correct each other. But the other side of it, the flip side of it is that there are, very serious guys in quality consciousness, invested in training, voluntarily improved their processes, even when no inspector was around. These units certainly grow, and definitely, I think many of them are here in this hall and many were outside also. Not only here, maybe in the entire country also. We all know that the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, though the number is 1940 and all, though it took a lot of changes and all, and initially the mandate or otherwise the core principle of it was to see that it would address adulteration and of course spurious drugs. So today the challenge is far more complex. We all know that there are more of the subtherapeutic issues and bioavailabilities, nitrosamine impurities at a parts per billion levels, data falsifications, and of course, a world of regulatory bodies, agencies coming over to India and with their own sophisticated audit tools and enforcement system. Now, I think with the best hands of Raghuvanshi and the state bodies and all the state DCAs, I think we have to match with the rigor and speed of the world. So I can say that when I moved from the regulator to a facilitator role, the present one which I'm doing, the drug regulations export promotion, I carried these lessons with me. I carried understanding that regulators and industry are not opponents. We are co-authors of the same public health mandate. I used to say in many of those platforms and many of the associations meetings that the license which we give, the product list which is annexed to that one, is sort of an MOU between the regulator and the manufacturer that both of us, in the sense that they abide and I also oversee that. That's the only simple MOU between them. That is not a piece of paper just to do that way. So I carry, dear friends, I carry very deep pride in this industry, its capacity to deliver world-class medicines at a fraction of global prices, and in the extraordinary resilience it has demonstrated decade after decade. I was surprised that when Rambabu Gar pushed me for the opening batting in terms of this, why the commerce part. I think there are the distinguished speakers who are talking more on the compliance part, why they have pushed me as a commerce one in the beginning. I think if Karthik can just, and even for the benefit of Avinashji, when he asked me a question, what do you exactly do? So I said, sir, let us keep this the element of surprise for you. Another 5 minutes, if you can bear with me, they have a small AV what Pharmexcil does. Please.
As India took its first intrepid steps into a newfound nascent stage, taking their own measured steps into new ways of operating, the Indian pharmaceutical industry was dominated by foreign companies and relied heavily on imports till 1955. This gradually changed, with important reforms being taken towards self-sufficiency through policy interventions. It was only in 1990 that we became a net exporter. Another significant milestone in the growth journey of Indian pharma was the formation of Pharmaceuticals Export Promotion Council of India, Pharmexcil, by the Government of India under the Foreign Trade Policy in 2004, with an objective to promote the exports of pharmaceutical and allied products to the world. Pharmexcil plays a pivotal role in facilitating collaborations, fostering international partnerships through strategic initiatives, trade delegations, and participation in key international conferences and exhibitions. We empower Indian exporters to navigate complex global markets while supporting the international community in sourcing affordable, safe, efficacious, and quality medicines. Our pharmaceutical exports have grown exponentially from $3.9 billion in 2005 to $30.5 billion in 2025, with a CAGR of 11%, with exports to almost 200 countries. With the stellar growth of the industry, it was the need of the hour to launch a collaborative platform to showcase all the capabilities, products, and services under one roof for the global pharmaceutical universe. And in 2013, Pharmexcil did just that by launching International Exhibition of Pharma, IFEX. Till 2024, 10 successful editions of IFEX have hosted 5,500 plus foreign delegates from 150 plus countries that included importers, regulatory officials, public procurement agencies, and journalists, with over 4,400 plus Indian exhibitors showcasing their products and services to a massive footfall of over 1.5 lakh visitors. After all, we do believe that this inimitable journey with numerous notable benchmarks and successes are a result of the collective efforts of all stakeholders and an indicator of greater things to come. But what next? The promise of the greater future starts with a journey towards self-reliance, which is gaining strong momentum with the Indian government launching comprehensive schemes to boost domestic manufacturing and introducing policy reforms such as an R&D policy. New drug regulations with global standards are improving ease of doing business and accelerating growth. We are also strengthening international cooperation with active engagement in free trade agreements to help the Indian pharma industry push for intellectual property recognition, zero duty access, and faster regulatory approvals. Together, these combined efforts are building a stronger, more resilient, innovation-driven pharmaceutical sector rooted in Atmanirbhar Bharat, with India emerging as a global hub for clinical research and drug development, along with the abundance of skilled talent, cutting-edge technology, and a strong policy support. Bharat at 2030 is projected to grow considerably to $130 to $150 billion. Bharat at 2047 is India's promise to the world to lead with innovation and deliver with integrity, safe, affordable, and high-quality medicines to every corner of the globe.
हम फार्मा ऑफ द वर्ल्ड माने जाते हैं। वैक्सीन में हम नए नए विक्रम स्थापित करते हैं। हम रिसर्च और डेवलपमेंट में और ताकत लगाएं, हमारे अपने पेटेंट हो। मैं देश के नौजवानों को कहता हूं, आइए बायो3 पॉलिसी का अध्ययन करके अब कदम उठाइए। देश का भाग्य बदलना है, आपका सहयोग चाहिए।
Namit, and thank you all the participants of this very important program for so very graciously acknowledging and thanking Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the path-breaking initiatives he has consistently taken to promote to the pharma industry and for the game-changing and transformational reforms.
The journey will continue, and India will lead all the way.
Thank you so much for a patient listening to it. I think after changing my role from a regulator to facilitator, I started marketing something like this also. Uh, so I think, bear with me. I remember in 1994, 95, 93, when I joined the department, I still remember it so echoes the words of Dr. Ranji Reddy Garu. He was in the presence of Dr. B. Ramarao, the then Health Secretary. He was addressing and all, and of course, very casually and otherwise very, in a very, what I can say that, non-offending way, Ramarao Garu mentioned that the mother is sick and the kids are very healthy. The IDPL was sick, and in that way, the offshoots of whatever it may be, the kids and all, in terms of Dr. Reddy Labs, they then and other things, and they are very healthy and all. And now you have already heard Rambabu Garu, how the people who have worked, how they got nurtured and all, they started having so many MSMEs here. We have a lot of examples in this audience. Mr. Jagannath, Rashmi Pharma, who worked in the Reddy's and all, he has his own unit and he has expanded. And maybe some of those, I think we can all understand how many companies have come up from Dr. Reddy's. So is the case with Hetero. So is the case with MSN. Many of those companies who have nurtured in that way by these, the stalwarts and all. I think Chava Garu and all those things, they have some of them. So in that way, this particular region, what we call the Telangana region in the combined state, maybe Tarwad, later in the Telangana state itself, has immense potential. We were known as the capital for, or otherwise also known for IT, BT, and PT, the information technology, biotechnology, and pharmaceutical technology. Of course, this was the mantra, and this is the caption which we have used in many of those forums when we are promoting the pharmaceutical industry and how they have really grown from definitely from the kind of growth which you have already seen. And certainly the Telangana, the region and otherwise the state, it represents the global pharmaceutical order. If you can see the 10 states, we have almost like 17 to 18 producing states, and the rest are consuming states. If that way, if you can say the entire country. So in that 17 states, the 10 states which maximum number of exports, if I can say, in the 31.1 billions which we have, highest being the Gujarat, then Maharashtra and Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Himachal, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Goa, Tamil Nadu, Daman, and all those things. So almost like 17 to 18% of the share from the Telangana. Of course, they always try to calculate both this because a lot of what you call the extensions of the same companies in Andhra Pradesh also. So that all put together, it will be around like 25%, 17% here and 8% there. So I cannot just single out only Telangana when I'm speaking. So I'll only speak for the country. In that sense, we almost like this part of the country is around 25% of the market share in terms of the global these things and all. And this is not specifically, if we can say that it's not just a regional story, it's a global story. And of course, as I mentioned that we have evolved from not from just Patancheru. It was the bulk drug kind of a things. Then we came with the Genome Valley. You must have already have seen that in 1999. And the largest organized biotech and pharmaceutical clusters, almost like bringing many of those things and all. I think Rambabu Garu already mentioned the vaccine capital. The emerging thing anyway was also the CDMO and CRDMO. The global pharmaceutical rebalancing triggered by these supply chain concerns, of course with the China and all, but still the Telangana CDMO and CRDMO like Syngene, Sai Life Sciences, Arizin, Cohance, Newland, Appen, and many other bios, MSN, they all positioned to capture significant new contracts. Arvind, of course, you all know that they also have their own the share of in these things and all. And the policies of Telangana, that is One Bio at Genome Valley, the India's first single-use bioprocess scale. What I want to trace is that even the India's Trade Watch report has recognized Telangana as a key pillar of the nation's pharma production, which its success attributed to a stronger manufacturing ecosystem, cluster-based development, globally competitive companies, and a very supportive policy framework. Let tell you all these friends that this recognition is not just accidental. It is a product of decades of investment, like leaders over here, their vision, their hard work by the entrepreneurs and policymakers alike. So I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, acknowledge the role of IDMA's, the Telangana State Board, Otherwise, also earlier the IDMA at the national level, in these journey associations with IDMA, their connective tissue between the factory floors and policy chambers. The advocacy, the standard work, and the industry-government interface that this IDMA has sustained over the years is indispensable. Along with their other associations like BDMA, which is also have their body over here, the national body, I want to express my genuine appreciations today. Why I'm trying to give this kind of a history and all those things is what lies ahead of us. We have already just seen the AV, what Bharat is promising in 2030, what have an ambitious role we have, the kind of mandate we have, the kind of targets we have for 2030 and 2047. You just has heard about that. Are we in that path? Are we going in that direction or not? That is where I think probably we want to hear more from the stalwarts, the speakers that are coming up and all. In the last 3 decades, because my journey also in this department, otherwise also in the, when I started seeing organically the growth of the industry in these 3 decades, India has built its pharmaceutical reputation on generics, and rightly so, yes. Our ability to produce quality medicines at affordable prices, that is our USP, and later we could able to tell the world that we can scale at any moment. The affordability, the quality, and the scalability. And we have added another dimensions when Raghuvanshi can acknowledge that we are also accountable for that in each and every pill which we produce and each everything which we sell it to the world. So the affordable prices to the developing countries has earned us the title of Pharmacy of the World. We all know that the Cipla story of $1 per in terms of the HIV medicine and all. The other day, Viranchi ji is trying to talk on that on the national, as a national spokesperson for IDMA, when the US has asked her for some of those drugs and all. This remarkable achievement has been built largely on the strength of resilience of thousands of Indian MSMEs. Just let me add that one sentence, why MSME, apart from the large-scale manufacturers, which have consistently demonstrated excellence in quality manufacturing, regulatory compliance, process chemistry, and cost competitiveness. Dear friends, but the global pharmaceutical landscape is now undergoing one of the most significant technological transformation in the history. I've seen, I heard, and otherwise also we know it from the US side also, that in the last decade, from almost like say from 2013 to 2022 and all, almost like they saved around 1.3 trillion USD in terms of the generic market space and all. And they're expecting the same amount in the next 5 years also. So I think the IDMA, other chapters from the FOP and other people also, and associations which are there, we were time and again, we were trying to tell the policy makers that you just can't afford to miss this kind of a savings for you. So that's why I think probably we could able to miss that, the hit of the targets, tariff targets on us. Dear friends, I think the most important point is that apart from the generics and all, the global biotech drug sales have already crossed 450 billions. Though the market of the generics and all other is 1.6 trillions and all, this particular biotech is 450 billions, almost like 3 times the level recorded just over a decade. So industry projections indicate that biotechnology-based medicines will account for nearly 57% of global pharmaceutical sales by 2030, end of 2030 or 2031, overtaking the conventional small molecule medicines. So the future product pipeline, this is what we are trying to talk, is increasingly dominated by MABs, the recombinant proteins, mRNA therapeutics, CAR-T therapies, gene editing technologies, and the center of gravity of the pharmaceutical industry is steadily shifting from chemistry-based products to biology-driven innovations. The pioneers are here, what we call the scientists. Chava Garu is from the Andhra University, from the chemistry-based and all. And after Anji Reddy sir was also the Shri Anji Reddy Garu, later Anji Reddy Garu was also the chemistry. And they have actually visualized this one of the talks which I have heard about this Anji Reddy Garu also, that this transformation is going to come. And I have seen some of those lectures and all, his whatever the at that point in time his interviews and all. So India need not be so pessimistic in that way that 57% is coming to biotechnology or something and all, and we will wither away in generics. No. We need not just only choose between volume and value. We must excel in both. While consolidating in the volume, in terms of the generics and all, we must continue supplying those affordable medicines to the developing countries while simultaneously building capabilities in biologicals, biosimilars, advanced therapies, and precision medicines for regulated markets. So this does not diminish the importance of conventional generic medicines. Small molecule drugs will remain indispensable for global healthcare, particularly in developing economies where affordability is a critical concern. India's leadership in APIs and generic formulations will continue to be a major competitive advantage. But future export growth cannot rely solely on volume-based products. And India's pharmaceutical exports must now be powered by two complementary engines, one delivering affordable medicines to the world and the other creating greater value through innovation-led products. So dear friends, the challenges which are coming now in our way. Increasingly, when we have gone around the world, we have seen, the other day I have discussed Dr. Virenchi also, Veeramaniji also, and along with me, the Chakravarti was also there, when we toured around many of those countries. Especially after COVID, every country felt the pinch of it. They felt that, is it that we have to really depend on you for paracetamol also? Even paracetamol tablet also? Why can't you have these localization of these companies over here? This is going to be a very big thing. So whatever thing which we have all these days enjoyed, the kind of things which in terms of producing and selling across the globe, almost like 190 countries, though we have a very focused 70 to 80 countries where the 90% of our exports grow. In that 31 billion basket, the 10 billions goes to US and the rest of it to the UK, Europe and other CIS, LATAM and other countries. But this is going to hit us a bit hard. So in that sense, what is that which we are looking for? Though they will be trying to arm twist in some manner or other, in terms of the registration process, delaying and other things, but still the capabilities are still in our hand. In terms of technology transfer, in terms of partnering, in terms of JVs, in terms of many of those things which you can think of. We try to tell them in a way that even the shifting of the industry from south to north, when there are fiscal incentives, it has become a bit tough. I know that DRL has its own units, but the other units are also there. But still, the managing the human resources, managing all the supply chain, everything has itself in our country was tough. So managing from here to other is certainly will be going to be a big challenge. But I think you have to live with that fact. So what we are trying to understand and trying to understand more from this and MSME is that we have to, but this is of course the generics. So what could be the next basket which we can think of is what I already mentioned about the complex generics and biosimilars and beyond. Are they so easy? I think the company is having deep pockets and all those things, they can anyway do it. How about MSMEs? It's not in that way, they cannot just jump into that one. It takes some time, certainly. So what we can do for in that sense, that collaborations, so there should be some strategic collaborations. There should be having a lot of patience in that one. I know that the invisible hand which runs all these things is the money. So where do we get it from? What are those savings we have? And how can we really leverage in that sense? And all those things. We have so many people over here. Are we having a JVs between us? No. Are we having some partnership between us? No. So how can we really grow in that sense? So these are some of the things which we have a lot of questions to our own people understand in that way. So in that sense, the strategic collaboration, biotechnology, the knowledge-intensive one, and we will be trying to hear it from Dr. Chavaji and also from other speakers, that no single enterprises possess all the required capabilities. We know it. The MSMEs especially should actively pursue joint ventures, co-development agreements, and technology partnerships with pharma companies, biotech firms, universities, I think, quote-unquote, universities and research institutes. I think Hyderabad is uniquely positioned, has advantage of one of important national research institutes in this city. You have IACT, you have A.V. Ramarao, who has started, in that sense, the kind of products which they used to talk about. I think many of us, I remember still, when I was in the drug department, the kind of cyanoacrylate, the bioadhesive from the DRL, which is to market in the initial days and all. One of the ISCT scientists, he's brought it that way. And we licensed it in a small 2-bedroom kind of a thing, and the product was sold like anything. Not for the Reddy's, I'm talking about somebody else who has taken the technology transfer from him. So that kind of, did we really approach those ISCTs? Did we approach those CCMBs? Did we approach that NI? Of course, fortunately we got NIPER also here. So that way, it has got uniquely positioned the kind of advantage which we, as a Telangana or whatever may the state and all, which we could able to take it. So what it could do is that we have you have Atal Incubation Center in CCMB, a lot of startups and all, and you have, I think, Telangana also, they have the startup ecosystem. And they have developed cutting-edge technologies that can be translated into commercially viable products. These partnerships certainly will reduce cost and risk of innovation, which I think MSMEs always will have that, the kind of, what you call, the fear that where is my ROI, where is my return on investment will coming from. So all these things are some of those things which I think these are some of the answers and all. So we can cut short those journey from that and from the laboratory to the market. What I talked about the patients, I know that we always say that how to get back, that is important. In my enforcement journey also, we have only seen 2 kinds of people where we have to really, we have to put my energy and efforts. One is the one who just wants to make it. I mean, like something who wants to make a quick buck, and the one who is dying in the business. These are the 2 people which we are working. The rest you can take time. These are the only 2 people which we have to really concentrate. That is called, in a way, the risk-based kind of things which we have to concentrate. The rest, they are all very, in that spectrum, if you can see, the rest of the people are very genuinely trying to overcome the mistakes, learning, understanding from their colleagues and everybody, and definitely trying to improve upon. Having given some patience, both at the regulatory side and also from their side, I think there will be a constant improvement in their functioning and all. I think our Rajamouli Garu can explain some of those things when you have a discussion at the tea. So that's why I said, in terms of patient, the long-term vision, the biotechnology demands sustained investment in research, process optimization, regulatory compliance, and quality systems before commercial success is realized. A more sustainable strategy is to first establish a strong presence in the domestic market. We are 1/6 of the world's population. If we cannot sell here, you cannot sell anywhere. That is the kind of market you have yourself in this country. And the more, and as I said that you should start trying to sustain a strategy first in the domestic market, validate your technologies, demonstrate consistent product quality batch after batch, that is more important, and build confidence among healthcare professionals and regulators. And India itself is one of the largest pharmaceutical markets, offers an excellent platform to build commercial credibility before international expansion. And in the phased approach to value addition, MSME need not leap directly from a conventional generics to advanced biologics. The logical progression is to first diversify into complex generics. My former chairman, Veermani Garu, used to always talk on those things. Long-acting injectables, liposomal formulations, depot formulations, inhalation products, ophthalmics, transdermal systems, and drug-device combinations. These products require higher capabilities and face lower competition, enabling better margins. From there, companies can expand into peptides, which I think the buzzword is that, recombinant products, biosimilars, and eventually advanced biologics. So the complex generics serve as the bridge between India's traditional strength in volume-based generics and the future in value-based biotechnology. I don't want to touch upon the digital transformation which is required. I think this is going to be definitely the game changer. I think I need not elaborate much on these things and how really they have will really help you in making your things more, expedite more of your systems in that sense. So companies that invest now in the digital native quality system will have a significant competitive advantage, and those who do not will find something very increasingly disadvantaged. Dear friends, the export horizon, as I have already given some of those statistics and figures at the cost of repetition, some of those points will come again. But let me tell you that the kind of targets which we have fixed, and Pharmexcil has also have a target of 60 billion by 2030 exports. The policy prioritization and market diversification is very important because we kept a lot of all the eggs in one basket in terms of the 10 billion in the US. We want to diversify into the many of those markets. And you have seen in every day, almost like in the past 6-7 years, the kind of FTAs, almost like 9 FTAs, the government of India has entered into those 38 countries or 38 regions and all. And there is a business opportunity of almost like 73 billion coming in that sense. So this is where I think if you can able to capture that, it's have to realize it. These are not going to be perennial. FTAs are not going to be perennial, my dear friends, let me tell you. These will always, whenever there is a change in regimes, change in things and all, and with the kind of disruptions you have seen in the VUCA world, things will also get. So try to capitalize on those things and all, where in terms of the expedited regulatory systems which you can engage with those countries and all. So some of those US market, ASEAN markets I'm trying to tell, and I want to say very clearly that every exporters in this today's evening, believe me that Pharmexcil is your platform. And share your market access challenges. The inputs you provide become our policy advocacy. Position before the Department of Commerce, of course, the Ministry of Health, DCJ always very jokingly says that I'm the punching bag. No, sir, you are very, in that sense, you have been very cooperative in terms of understanding the industry problems. And only thing is we always request that you understand much more than what we are asking now. So some of those things and your voice aggregated through Pharmexcil and IDMA and other associations over here is louder than any individual company can achieve. So dear friends, I want to propose drawing some of those points on my enforcement background and my current export promotion role, a new compact regulators and industry engagement. The old model in terms of very adversarial, the regulator as a cop, industry as a subject. No, this has not been the one. It has outlived, rather. The new model is collaborative, risk-based, and trust-built over time. Practically, this means these things. The pre-submission meetings, I think, where you have seen in US and Europe, before a manufacturer invests crores of rupees in a new facility or a dosage form, they should be able to sit with the CDSU, the state DCAs, and those IPs and all, to get clarity on regulatory expectation and predictability. The predictability is one important thing which is important. And this is a standard practice, as I mentioned, in many of those regulated markets, regulatory areas, and it should become a standard for an origin country also. The risk-based inspections protocols, a WHO pre-qualified facility supplying regulated markets should not receive the same inspection intensity as an uninspected unit or missed out regulatory oversight supplying a domestic local market. So the risk stratification should drive inspection resources because the resources are always very limited in enforcement. We all started with 50 officers in the department. We have grown to almost like 150 and then got divided and all those things. So there are very limited resources in that sense. So put your energy and efforts in, as I said, that the two types of things where you have to concentrate and the rest you start trying to educate them and try to have a lot of meetings, understanding them, what are those issues and all. Thereby, there will be a lot of transformation will be coming. And I said that in the beginning, the enforcement with the human touch always helps us. So that is what we have practiced, and that is how it will be helping also. And the time-bound approvals, I need not really emphasize on that. These are some of those things because the first movers advantages, some of these things in the global market is always important. And in that sense, the regulatory predictability and the approvals part and from the industry side also, you should be abreast with those kind of things which are coming in the global scenario. So I call upon IDMA Telangana State Branch. I congratulate you, Rambab Garu and Shekhar Garu and his team with the deepening engagement with the state DCA, with CDSU, Hyderabad zone, and with the Pharmexcil. Just count on me also, yes sir. And building work groups, so that we can have some working groups, can have a lot of discussions monthly, and these groups can produce actionable recommendations. So I will not take much of this time. I'm sure that the theme of this conclave, collaborate, innovate, and lead. these three words are not just backdrop, they are, of course, the mandate. So collaboration between industry and regulators, innovate. I have already mentioned that not just molecules and processes, but in your quality culture, compliance, philosophy, digital systems, talent development. Innovation is not reserved only for R&D, dear friends. It is mindset that must permeate every function of every company and lead Telangana as a state and as other parts of the country, they can aspire to lead. The leadership already is there. Now means the responsibility to set global standards in quality, sustainability, and innovation. And of course, the principle, the central thing is the patient safety. So I think the previous 3 decades belong to generics. The coming decades will increasingly belong to those countries and companies that successfully integrate their generics with biotechnology. We must move confidently from volume to value, also keeping volume, from chemistry to biology, from manufacturing to innovation, and from being suppliers of medicines to becoming global partners in the healthcare solutions. And as India's pharmaceutical destiny is not just merely the pharmacy of the world, though Prime Minister from the Red Fort, he has mentioned that we are to go beyond that. And that is what his vision for 2047 as a Viksit Bharat, the quality conscience for the world, a country that proves once and for all that affordable medicines and excellent medicines are not a trade-off, but the same thing. And we believe that, I think even Veermani also agrees with me that we can afford a trade deficit, but not a trust deficit. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity.